following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, how we doing? Welcome back to Celtic World Order. I am a very hoarse Steve O'Matt, and you can see I'm joined by my partner in crime, my right-hand man, my bearded brother. It is Paddy boy. Paddy, you look fit and healthy. You obviously look and sound a lot better than me. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Happy with the weekend. Decent result. The other side of Glasgow seemed to struggle as well, which is always nice to see. They managed to sneak a result, which, listen, I said before, they're not a competition, they're an entertainment, so we'll just kind of draw a line under them. But,
well,
yeah, as we said in the tagline there, Steve-O, as well, it was a not so convincing, but a result nonetheless, and that's what I'm looking for going forward. You can win ugly sometimes, and that's what helps, isn't it?
That's it. Let's throw the cliche out there nice and early, Paddy. Sometimes you've got to win ugly. The 3 points at the end of the day, that's the priority. It's about making that reply after a very convincing Aberdeen win, albeit quite late on the Saturday, returning to the summit of the table. A clean sheet is always a benefit, but as we say in the tagline, it wasn't pretty, but the points were the priority, and we'll just have a wee discussion around about the performance, everything else in. Before we do, as always, let's just kick off with a wee quick bit of housekeeping. Welcome back to the channel. As we always say, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for your continued support. If you're new, just make sure that before you leave, hit the like, hit the subscribe, the wee bell icon, and you'll get notified every time we go live. We're on Spotify. You can catch up with us there on the move. We are on TikTok. Paddy controls that one. He's a big Wayne. And we are also on X at CWPod1888. Plenty of ways to connect with Celtic World Order. Spread the word. Help grow the community. And just before we kick off, another wee thing, because as we go into the end of this month and into December, we just want to be promoting a wee bit of charity, because Celtic formed off the foundations of charitable causes. This is exactly what we are all about here at Celtic World Order, and we'll be helping out a local charity, which is this. It is a Christmas toy drive for our local area of Coatbridge and Airdrie, put together by Ellis Decor. It's a local company off their own back, donating brand new toys to less privileged kids in our area. Now, we've been getting involved with that so far. We have contributed £300 worth of toys to that. We'll be working on other methods to raise more money for that, and also we donated a further large, couple of £100 to a local parish at the weekend for their winter jacket given to people less fortunate out in the cold and the homeless alike. So we want to try and ramp up the charity around about Christmas, and we'll be looking to do that. If you want to get involved in that, we'll put a wee pinned post on our X. We'll put one on the community page, and if you want to donate anything at all, it's brand new toys, we will take that from you, and we will make sure it goes on to charity, because charity is what it's all about. And we're not here to do this platform to self-service. If we can help other people out, then that's what we're here for. That is that. Paddy, let's get down to business, as we all say, and hopefully you're going to carry me, because I'm a wee bit sick here. I do apologise if I sound minging down your ears here, but Paddy will be there to do it. Mate, as she says, it was a decent outcome. 3 points is all that matters. We're going to be out there against Killie on the dreaded Killie carpet, which unfortunately I've been told is going to be extended because they're not going to be ripping it up. They're going to get another year out that murder. But yeah, we rolled into town off the back of a great result against RB Leipzig. We questioned, was it going to, tire the legs out a wee bit? Was there going to be some level of a European hangover? You could possibly say that, but let's have a wee look at the lineup. So, as you can see, we obviously looked at, was there going to be changes? Of course, we did say that Carter Vickers was the biggest asset to protect. We decided to go with that. Good sense there. Back in with Scales, no issues there. Taylor, again, he comes back in over Alex Valle. And, of course, the big one there that you had been talking about Adam Ida up front in place of Kyogo, and we will indeed get on to Adam Ida. There's been a lot of chat about him, the big man, his performances, and some people's opinions might be swaying a wee bit. But on the whole, looking at the lineup at the start of the morning, how are you feeling all about it, Paddy?
Decent enough, to be fair. Like you had said, we speak about this European hangover. Now, we touched on it before. Strong enough to deal with this. We've got enough strength on the bench to bring on, and these so-called fringe players should be good enough to deal with the domestic side of football. And for me, going into that, Carter Vickers being rested on, like you called it there, mate, the Killie carpet. That horrible, horrible pitch was a good start for me. So putting Trusty and Scales in there again, we've seen them previously work together, so they know each other as well, and that's always a good sign. Yeah, you called it, mate. I'd been saying there about Ida starting up front. I thought he deserved a chance. I thought sometimes Kyogo's not been firing on all cylinders. Now, starting Ida in there, I thought, yeah, that's great. Big man on that pitch. We'll start getting the lump balls in. He's got the physicality, win balls in the air, bring the ball down, knock it on for our two wingers. Didn't quite work out like that. And I think that's down to the way Kilmarnock set up. Say what you want about Derek McInnes, but he knows how to line a team up against teams like Celtic and Rangers. He knows how to defend and how to get that structure in there. And the players in that, especially the boy in the middle of the park, I can't remember his name. It was essentially their number 6, but he kept dropping back to be like a centre half as well. So essentially, at some points they were having 3 centre halves and then 2 centre backs as well. So you'd 5 across the back at some points, and it worked out really well for them. And going forward as well, they've got that wee bit about them, and they put us under a wee bit of pressure. And at some points, mate, it was squeaky bum time.
Definitely. I mean, what I would say is, like, folk don't like when you say you've got to give credit to the opposition or anything like that. But, you know, let's be totally honest here. For me and my observations of watching the game, I thought that Killie, by large, certainly in the first half, were the better team. You know, let's just be honest here and not kid ourselves on. And I actually think that, dare I say it, you touched on it, that they did defend when they had to. But it was actually, if you want to look at it from the neutral standpoint, it was actually pretty refreshing to go and see a Killie team for once attacking and trying to make a game of it. And they made a game of it. You know, they had multiple chances. They hit the post. They were causing us actual real trouble. Now, I'm not sitting here on a Celtic podcast to praise the opposition. Oh, that's brilliant. Look at Killie. But just to look at it, we usually come on here after a sticky result and the moans are clear. Oh, they sit in. They just compact. 2 banks of 5. They don't do anything. There can't be any excuses for that today. It says it wasn't a perfect performance. It wasn't pretty. It was a wee bit ugly. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's getting the result that matters. But you've got to absorb. You've got to come on here as a commentator on what you see, and talk about the game as it was. It was competitive. Why? Because they made it competitive and they went out there. And I actually thought that their tactics were absolutely spot on against us. In the end, a bit of quality from ourselves ultimately is the undoing, and probably a goalkeeper horrendous one for our first goal. But it's that wee bit of quality. And they showed that the resurgence that they've had lately isn't been a flash in the pan. Say what you will about Rangers, but they showed that the performance against Rangers and getting the win wasn't a flash in the pan. And they've always been a side that we've historically struggled against because all they've done is defend. But it wasn't the case yesterday.
No, it wasn't. The guy Marley Watkins up front, he's a big unit of a boy and he knows what to do. He always throws himself about, uses his weight, uses that distribution that he's got. And listen, they're a decent enough side. John covers it there, mate. You're spot on. We did the 50-50 chances. We were second to them. Now, I thought the other night, Hatate was unreal. It was outstanding. Against Killie there, whether it's the pitch or whether it's like they call it the European hangover, things like that, they weren't firing on all cylinders for me. We weren't getting to those balls and winning the midfield battle. The defenders, we done well in there. I think going statistically, you look at the stats and the amount of shots and stuff that they'd said that Killie had. Kasper Schmeichels, you'd said before, Steve-O, he had a cracking game in there and had a lot of shots saved. But the defenders also blocked a lot as well. Big Scalesy in there, he was doing his bit. Trusty, they were blocking a lot of shots. And that's what you need at times like that. Like you say, you've got to ride the lightning. Now, you don't expect to be riding the lightning against Kilmarnock, but at the end of the day, we did. Do you know what I mean? And at some points, that's it.
Mate, you know, we look at it there. In terms of that game, Killie had 18 shots and 6 on target, and they forced us into 6 blocks and saves. So, you know, it's strange worlds that we're living in, but we're talking about that side. But just to touch on the general performances, for me personally, there wasn't too much to write home about for the whole game. You know, normally we can sit here and we'll talk about key instance, you know, X amount of minutes, there's this chance, there's that. Yeah, there was plenty of end-to-end stuff. Let's not kid ourselves on, but we're here to generalise and talk about the performance rather than going into a deep dive. You know, there's been many podcasts out there between yesterday and this morning, and they'll have all covered it. We just want to talk about the general performance, the feel around it. We're obviously going into one of these international breaks. Maybe comes at a good time, because the key thing for me was it was about looking to reset. We knew it was going to be a stuffy game. You can use the park as much as you want, but these players are used to it. You know, we've got artificial pitches that we probably should and would have been practicing on the run up to this. So, it's garbage, but you've got to stop using that as the reason as to why you just are a wee bit disjointed. And as you say, I think that defensively, by and large, we were able to deal with most things. They got some good purchase. They got some chances. They were causing some trouble. But it wasn't like we defended. I didn't feel like we defended badly. I didn't feel like anybody had a particular nightmare. It's like I've said a few times, it was just a wee bit disjointed. I think it was a combination of the tactics that they deployed. They were quite aggressive. Look, we always know that they are quite a hearty team in terms of they'll go into challenges, they'll snap into challenges and what have you. But at the same time, they hustled us and they put us under pressure and they made us make the mistakes. And as you touched on it, Cal McGregor obviously scores a goal, very important. And, excuse me, a fairly solid-ish performance by the captain. The other two around him, a wee bit less assured, I would say. Possession being lost. Look, it's not a Hatate. We've been singing his praises. Fantastic the other night. But again, we got to see the slight deficiencies at time. I felt he lost the ball quite a lot. And I felt he grew into it. But Engels is still maybe not up to speed or used to this level of physicality that he's going to experience.
Yeah, listen, we've spoke about it before with the price tag on Engels and Ida. And I'll touch on both of them right now. I thought yesterday none of them covered themselves in glory. They didn't do enough for me to turn around and say, yeah, you were worth that 20 million that we fought out for you. And it just, I don't know whether that's on their heads, whether they feel like they have to be this type of player, because they're certainly getting the assists. They're certainly getting the players round about them performing. Like if Engels is looking across at the performance that Hatate put in the other night, and he's supposed to be the so-called superstar in there, then I'm sorry, mate, but you couldn't lace his boots at the minute. He really couldn't. And listen, we know what Hatate does. We know he always goes for that killer pass or that, what you call it, the danger pass. He's never going to do something easy. And I was at a night on Friday there with Frank McAvenny, and someone asked him who his favourite player was in the current Celtic squad. And he said Rio Hatate. And do you know what? I've never been prouder. I was so chuffed. I was like, brilliant. Somebody else backs me up here. And do you know what? When we get Frank on, which I'm sure we will at some point, I'm going to call him on it. I'm going to get him in there, and me and him can sit and discuss the wonder that is Rio Hatate. I just thought it gives us that wee bit different in there. Callum was outstanding. We know what we're getting with Kuhn. We know what we're getting with Maeda on the other side as well. But Killie done well with that. I mean, they doubled up on Kuhn every time he got the ball. There wasn't a massive overlap either. I thought Johnston wasn't bombing past in the first half. I think he was kind of keeping an eye on the winger, because Killie were coming forward and they were causing us a bit of problems. But going forward, a few people have said it in the chat as well there. The Killie players know what it means to McInnes. They know he is probably training for that job across the city. and they're helping them out in there. Do you know what I mean? So, fair play. They done what they had to do, and yeah, the breakthrough kind of finally came just towards the end of half time. A ball for Nicholas Kuhn in towards Callum. He cuts inside. Yes, it's a cross. Let's be honest, he's tried to cross it.
It's a cross all day long.
And I think when Ida is going in, the keeper isn't going to. He doesn't want to commit to it because Adam he's in there and he's expecting him to make contact with that. So the keeper kind of stands still and Ida doesn't get any contact at all. We've seen it happen so many times with kind of free kicks and stuff drifting in like that, and it's just took a bounce into the bottom corner. And listen, Callum McGregor, 5 goals, 5 outside the box. That's a captain's performance for you, innit? That's what he does.
You'll take the goals anyway they come, Paddy, and that's the thing. In that first half, I genuinely didn't think that we really created too much. We've said this before. And it's been something of a recurring theme, particularly after some European nights, where it's not as if it's because it's completely low in quality, where it's absolutely turgid and garbage. It's just, it doesn't have that wee extra bit of X factor. The killer instinct, the killer pass, the finishing touch. There's plenty of movement. There's plenty trying to do the right things, but you're just not getting any, they're not coming off. The chances, the passes, it's not coming off. And I felt that was very much the first half, the story of it. As you say, I don't think you get the same down the left-hand side. I thought, for me, with the starting lineup, I was quite disappointed with the link-up down the left-hand side for us. Excuse me. Maeda and Vai have been very, very good going forward. Obviously, Taylor and Maeda has been a previously well-used, combination. And I don't know what it is. Taylor he's come back in the squad. I know he's been out after injury, but the 2 occasions that we've saw him, he looks significantly less sharper than he did. At the start of the season, when we were talking about him, again, he was another guy like, he's been long maligned by the fan base, but he's sort of coming onto a game. He's doing well, and he's surprised a lot of people. I just didn't feel that we've seen that since he's come in. It looks a wee bit regressing when Taylor's been coming in. I can understand maybe why we've put him in with obviously the pitch and the familiarity and knowing what he's going to be up against. But I just felt that the sort of general width that we've been getting from our wingers wasn't quite there as well. Alistair Johnson doing his best defensively. Kuhn quite quiet by comparison to what he done in the Champions League. He was getting his foot on the ball, but he wasn't as anywhere near direct as he normally would be. Obviously, he then comes up and he pops up with a goal that matters and kills the tie. He has a chance as well in the game where it's a good save for the goalkeeper. But for me, I think he's got to take that one. I think that is a bit of a poor miss. And I think maybe that is just signs of lethargy off the back. He's such a solid performance at 100 mile an hour at Parkhead during the week. As much as I hate saying that, I do feel that the legs looked a bit tired.
Yeah, they do, and we said it before. Look at the last time after the Atalanta game. I believe we went into a domestic break just after the game there as well. And you said that line, it's come at the right time. And you know what? Yeah, a rest for the players has come at the right time. But is it actually a rest? When you look at the amount of players that we've got out on international duty, I'm glad that Callum's pulled away from it and James Forrest and stuff as well, obviously now. But we've got guys travelling away with the Japan squad, and Kyogo has been called up this time as well. So do you know what? Congratulations to Kyogo on that. That just shows that
I would like to see him get used, though. I think that if we, we spoke about the attackers here, and we will get into it because, as we say, look, we just want to be honest in what we see. For me, the strikers have been disappointing this season. They have. I can't get away with it. And we find ourselves sort of second week of November here. Yes, I understand he has been coming off the bench and been starved for starting lineups and 10 minutes on the pitch and 4 goals in 11 or so isn't the worst return. But it's the whole package. And I don't want to really sit here and seem like I'm moaning or getting on at players or not backing the boys. Folk will jump all over that. But I just feel that it's imperative for us, for our strikers, to be on it, to be sharp, to be on form, to be scoring goals, and I've just not seen enough of it. And it's really making me think that come January, it's something that we're really going to have to investigate and look at. Have we got enough to get through this season domestically? I've no doubt in my mind, of course I have, but I want it to be more convincing than it has been at times, particularly from the striking. And I think that even if it's a guy on loan, I think we need a third option. I think we need something else, because in that first half, when Kyogo was on, again, we talk about times where he's pulling away the defenders, he's making runs and he's helping out that way. Likewise, we talk about Ida, he wears folk down and stuff. But yesterday, from neither of them was there any of that. I personally think, and I'll just say it straight up in the most black and white terms, Adam Ida was murder. You would have thought that guy had never seen a football in his life.
Yeah,
and I've seen all the reasons. Not enough game time. He gets smashed in the face. I mean, for me, I think that's a red card. I want to cover that right off when I mention that. I think that's a red card. I think that's pathetic that there wasn't a VAR upgrade on that one. And I understand if you've been punched in the cutum, it might affect how you play. You might be a bit dazed. But if I take that aside, if I take the two which you can use as excuses, getting a sore face and a crap pitch, he was just as crap as those two things put together. And listen, and I don't want to go on attack here. I just want to discuss it, and I want us to start having an honest conversation. Yes, we're Celtic supporters, and I do not misconstrue this. I back the guys. When they put on that jersey, I am there for them. I want them to do well. I wish them to do well. But it doesn't make you void from having a conversation. The reason I bring this up is I use certain people as my measuring stick. You are one of them, Paddy. Positive Paddy. You have been singing that guy's praises, defending him, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, wishing him all the wellness in the world. And my dad is always my sounding board. My dad will not allow anybody to say anything negative about any Celtic player, any Celtic performance. And he constantly gets on about to me, you just got to stop being negative about things. I'm like, I'm just trying to be constructive. My dad turns around and says, that boy's garbage.
Yeah.
And that, for me, he's been defending him for ages and ages and ages. Says he had a good patch. We got, we get sort of starry-eyed about him. We got sort of like, what's the word? Romanticised around him, and we paid over the odds for him. That's what my dad says. Yeah,
he had a good patch at the right time for him. And let's face it, we were calling out for a hero at that point, and he pulled that jersey on, and he had a couple of cracking performances. And the last 6 was against who was the first game against? Was it Motherwell? I can't remember, when he scored the 2 goals and basically won that game.
I mean, he single-handedly turned that game, no doubt about it.
Brilliant. Then you look at the game at Hampden when he scores the goal as well to beat the other side of Glasgow and deny them a trophy. Brilliant. That was incredible. And I think all that came at exactly the right time for Ida. And it's come into this season, and we've signed him, and we thought, right, here we go. Kick off with where you left off here. We're going to get some cracking performances out of this guy. And you just look at the goal contributions. Now, that's not scoring, it's scoring and assisting. You look at Kuhn, you look at Dyson, incredible. Guys who last year weren't covering themselves in glory. Let's be honest, they were all right. They were decent enough players. They were good players in that squad, but they weren't the ones where you'd have turned around and went, oh my God, if we lose them, it's over.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're looking at here, and we're looking at our strikers to be getting the goals, but that's not coming. Our strikers aren't the ones that are scoring the goals. We've got a few goals from them and stuff like that, but they've all been kind of tap-ins here and there. The goals are coming from our wingers. The goals are coming from our captain. Callum McGregor has scored more goals this season than Adam Ida. That is ridiculous, mate. And if you'd have told me that at the start of the season, I'd have laughed in your face. And I'm sure everybody else is like that as well. And that's when he's got to kick on. He's got to get this bit between the teeth again. Because, listen, I'm like your dad, mate. I will call it. I think the guy does have the talent. I don't know what's going on with him just now. I don't know what's happening, but it'll come good, and I really think it will. I think it'll come good, and I think Kyogo as well. We speak about him. Obviously, when Kyogo comes on in the second half and you see him running about there, and he does drag the players inside and outside, and he offers you different to Adamida. So that there is positives to their games, and it's, for me, it's getting the goals and getting that impact again. Because if we can start getting goals from our strikers, then we're going to be smashing teams every single week, and I'm going to get my 4-0 more often than not. I'm gutted this season that my strikers aren't kicking on, because I've lost out my 4-0 near enough all the time.
Do you know what the thing is, Paddy, and this is true, like San Fran's saying, like the service to was shocking.
Yeah.
When you generalise all over the back of it, if we says it was far from vintage. It was poor all round, but it's irrelevant. Like I want to underpin that. We're sitting here and we're talking after the event, and we're nitpicking. Of course we are. That's what you've got to do as fans. As we says, it would be so easy for us to sit on here and just go, yes, top of the league, 3 points, brilliant, bring it on. You know, it like we'd be lying to ourselves, and we'd be doing a disservice to folk watching if all we did was come on and tell you everything that Celtic done was brilliant and every player's the best and they'd have 10 out of 10 performance. Get garbage. You know, and we'll always continue to talk what we see with our eyes, maybe tell some hard truths. Folk won't like it. As I say, I'll come back to my dad as well. Oh, I can't believe it's been negative about me saying anything negative about Celtic. Like, it's not. It's just, we're here to have a conversation like adults. Doesn't change our love and our passion about the team and wanting to see them do well. You know, if anything, by us picking these things up, it's because we want better, we demanded better, we want to see more. And I just think that is true. I just think that, see, looking at it, I just want to come back to you there. I don't want it to be a burial or a post-mortem of the guy, but yeah, the service was shocking to him. But the underlying point is all over game has been poor. There can't be the excuses off. There's been the excuses off, like, I say excuses or reasoning. Let's look at Engels, for example, another guy that's been getting it in the neck. Yeah, he has got that. He's new to the club. Yes. He's finding his feet. He has that. Adamida has now been at Celtic for almost a year.
Yeah.
Right? And
he's
had a full pre-season. Andy's had a full pre-season with Norwich, with game time. Adamida came to Celtic fit, playing, and off the back of a very successful period for Celtic. There is no bedding in period for him.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you can't have peaks and troughs and ups and downs. Of course you can. That will happen. That is professional football. But again, and I've seen this coming out more and more often, as I say, and I'm using guys like yourself, using guys like my dad as the measuring stick, who have been fierce defenders of him.
Yes.
And ever the optimist. He just doesn't look like a guy that's 9.5 million. Now, I want to throw that out there and say, when I say that, I am not saying, make no confusion about this. I am not saying Celtic can't spend 9.5 million. I am not complaining about us spending that amount of money. It has to happen. It should be happening. It should be happening every other season. It comes back to what Josh said, what I said, and I got pelters for it, but I stand by it, that we shouldn't have paid 9.5 million for him because we didn't have to pay 9.5 million for him.
Yeah.
Poor planning, poor preparation, poor scouting. That's what made us pay for him. Now, see if you do not believe me that happens, then look no further than the story of Bologna that the president brought out talking about Zirkzee, where he says, we wanted about £15 million for Zirkzee. We got a bid in from Man United. It was about £25 million. I couldn't believe it. I thought we'd won the lottery. I says to my assistant, whoever it was, tell them no, it's £42 million, please. The next day they came in with the offer. Why? Because they were desperate. And the team that were selling knew it. He says, and I turned around, thought we'd won the lottery, and says, pop the champagne. It happens. And that's exactly what happened to us with Celtic Arena. We had a guy who came in, and he did. I want to thank him, and I will always be grateful. What a turnaround season he had for January onwards. Single-handedly, well, not single-handed, but a large part, it dragged us out the mud, brought us back into it, and delivered us a double single-handedly. Did do that. And I am forever grateful for that. And yes, instant Champions League, so paid back his fee. The fees are relevant. Get the fee out your head. I'm just talking about what you've got for him. Has he been value for money so far? Now, in the here and now, not what he'd done before. The answer's no.
Yeah, I know. No, you're 100%, mate. And if we had a clause there when you get these loan players in with a loan with an option to buy, essentially, I don't even know what the deal is with Valle as well. Has he been recalled in January? Am I right in saying that?
I've seen mixed reports on this. Some are saying that is the case, but also it's been batted aside by the club and other sources saying that no, not necessarily. Well, we need to see that one. I just find it a wee bit strange that he's not been starting.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you don't want to risk something happening to him.
Yeah, and on the Valle thing as well, we don't actually have an option to buy with him.
No.
He does have a buyout clause in his contract with Barcelona, which is, I believe, somewhere around 3.5 to 4 million.
Yep.
So looking at that, then yeah, if going forward, that's essentially what we're looking for. We're looking to bring him in to relieve Greg Taylor at some points, then that would be quite good. But going into these options with Bernardo as well, we had the option to buy with Bernardo the first time, and we didn't go for that option. That ended up working in our favour, and we got him for a bargain price of, was it 4.5 million, 3.5 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So we actually made out of that, which is decent enough. So going forward, I would like to see a bit more, like you had said, forward planning. And we've now got the right man in the door. Obviously, we've done our cover. So the doctor's in. Yeah, the doctor's there. So hopefully going forward, we can have this forward planning, and there will be players that we've identified at this minute to step into these positions. I'd like to see some money spent in January, because I think going forward, by January, we'll be in the latter stages of Europe. I know we've got the game in January against Aston Villa as well, but I think going forward, the game against Young Boys, the game against Bruges, I'll be fully expecting Celtic to come out and do away with them at Celtic Park. So going into January, I would like to see possibly another striker to come in and fill that void, like we had spoke about before, and we covered it when we spoke to Rudy Vata about the young player coming up and stepping into that third striker role. Now, you covered it the other day, and you and Josh have been talking about it. The boy Cummings that's playing in the youth team at the minute, the reserves, and he's banging them in. This young lad's on absolute fire. And you've got two strikers in the first team squad that aren't performing. Is it time to bring in a young lad and go, right, listen, show me what you can do?
Well, the thing is, Paddy, folk will laugh at that, right? And they will, no matter what, they'll roll their eyes at that notion, and I agree that. But let's think back to what the manager says. He wanted to have two main strikers and the third to be a developmental player, which is going to be Vata, as we well know. I think that we need to at least look at him. His contract is due to be up for an expiry, and I think it is imperative that we do our best and utmost to try and keep him in.
Yes.
At least, even if it's just a suck it and see situation. It could, again, like we spoke about Ida, it could be a guy that's having an amazing patch in his young career and it doesn't sustain and doesn't kick on. But I think you've got to at least have him in and around, and there's no harm about it. Am I saying that he starts ahead of Ida and he'll go, no, he's not. Am I saying that if you are, like we were yesterday, in a sticky match and you bring off Ida, you bring him on instead of Kyogo? No, I'm not. I'm talking about you just have him in and around the squad. See if you are in some of the games that we're seeing where you're cruising, you're 3-0 up. You bring him on. Give him 10 minutes, give him 15 minutes, you do that. I think that's what we need to be looking at there. But I still would definitely like us to get as another striking option. As Martin's saying here, he's like, is he worth it? The jury's still out. Let's wait here. Let's see what he does in the Champions League. And this is the thing, it's subjective. It's completely subjective, and I don't want that to be misconstrued. I know I went on a wee bit of a sort of, chat around about the Ida situation, but I just want to talk with what I see with my eyes, and I think that I'm grateful. Like, I'm not forgetting what he done last season. Yeah. But as a footballer, you're only as good as your last game. You're only as good as the here and now. And I don't want to put any lean on, and I'm not putting any lean on. I know I mentioned, is he worth 9.5 million? I'm not hanging that over his head, because I will, no matter what, I would always say to myself, is he worth 9.5 million pound? Personally, I don't think he is. Yeah. Whether he's been scoring a lot of goals now or not, you there, of course, have the counterbalance to say, it's the 11th of November and he scored 15 goals, mate, so he is worth it. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But what I mean is I'm just talking about the situational thing. It's chump change in today's football. It's the kind of money we should be spending. The reality is we didn't have to spend it, so that's why I mean not worth it. Not meaning, not meaning like value. Just saying like it didn't have to happen that way.
Yeah.
But if we had to have spent it, and that was the fee, then I would have given it. It's the exact same with Engels. Do I think Engels is worth 11.5 million? No, I don't. I think he's probably about a £7 million player. But that's just circumstantially how we found ourselves getting in there. It's not that I don't think he's a good player. It's not I don't think there's promise there that he'll kick on, he'll do well. It's just being honest.
Yeah.
Circumstantial, that's the price we had to pay because the way we do our business.
Yeah, that's it, 100%. But that, like you said, 11.5 million and 9.5 million there. So going back to the game,
let's get ourselves back.
Coming into the second half, kicking off, and I'm kind of waiting here, going, right, are we going to kick off here? Are we going to go for it again? A few kind of lackluster chances, nothing major, nothing really shouting out. So then it comes to that 60th minute mark, Steve-O, and we're calling for changes. Yeah. And the changes come. It's Adam Ida off and Kyogo on. Arne Engels off and Bernardo on. So there you're taking off your £20 million signings. That's your 20 million that you used, that you brought in. You're taking them off the pitch and you're bringing on a guy, Bernardo, who again we had on loan, who done enough, in my opinion, to secure his spot and to get that move to Celtic's absolutely incredible. And we bring on Kyogo, who we know can be absolutely deadly. And then around the box, it made a bit of a difference for me. You've seen a lot more aggression in the middle of the park. I felt like Bernardo was trying to drive forward a little bit more as well.
Sorry, jump in. I know he eventually features. Were we missing a trick not playing McCown for the start or earlier this game?
Possibly. I thought like games like this, going to Killie and after the European hangover, so to speak, I thought games like this would be ideal for Luke McCowan. And if he is going to have a cameo effect at Celtic, if he's going to have that substitute role, then I felt like coming in, this is the games where you do start him. We says it previous, as at Dundee after one of the games as well. We thought we'll put him straight in there, we'll give him the chance and things. And it doesn't seem to be getting that. It doesn't seem to be getting that start. And yeah, is it because Arne Engels has got the big price tag over him? Could you have really dropped Rio Hatate after his performance against Leipzig? Probably not. Callum's your captain. So for me, it's just he's in the wrong position, essentially, to be starting games. And if he's going to want that game time, I think he's going to really have to work extremely hard in there. There's no doubt, Steve, like we always say, that familiar saying again, there's a player in there. He is a player. He's a player who we know can do it in the Premier League. He's a player who we know knows the insides and outsides of each of these clubs and knows what it takes. And he's a Celtic fan as well. He knows what it means to pull that jersey on. And I've no question that the jersey fits him well. As we've said previously, the Celtic jersey can be quite heavy on certain players. Now, I feel like McCown takes that on board and knows exactly what that means. And I think he's one of the players that will thrive, especially under the guidance of Callum McGregor. And having these gifted players alongside him as well, Hatate, Engels, Bernardo, I think he'll take a bit for all of them. And I think going forward, McCown will be one for the future. I don't think he's going to feature a hell of a lot this season, which is kind of a shame in a way, because it's back to the stage where we done it with Dundee United and started taking players from them, guys like Mackay Stephen and Nadir Shifchi and things like that, players who played well against Celtic, and we went in there and we basically poached that full squad. We took Zaluska for the goals, we took like I said, Mackay Stevens, Shifchi, and ripped him apart. And I just feel like he has to do a bit more in order to cement his place in there a little bit. And I don't think Brendan's going to rotate enough to give him that chance.
I don't know, Paddy. I genuinely don't. I think that I hear what you're saying. He's been given starts, and when he has, he's been effective. Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to rotation, he's very much going to be a guy that I think will be utilised in a fair amount of decent times. I don't necessarily prescribe to that less game time. I really do. I really do. Of course, it's all going to be down to how things pan out for the likes of Arne Engels in particular. The one thing I like about Brendan Rodgers is we talk about these fees, and these guys, as I said a million times, they don't ask to be that fee. So it's a passing comment when you bring it up. but he's not scared, as we've seen.
Yeah.
He's not scared to bring the guys off. He's not scared to have them sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So to that end, I think that Arne Engels, I've seen a lot of good in him. I've seen a lot of promise in him. He has been up and down, and I am fully expected that to be the case, coming from a different team that have been pretty much more on the back foot. Yes, playing at a higher level, but he's kind of converting his role a wee bit. He's changing. He's having to find a different sort of position in a squad with a lot more of the ball, a lot more expectancy, a lot more attack minded. So he has development. He will have those peaks and troughs. And for me, despite the times I've come on here and says wasn't really that good, needs to show more, I'm happy for this year to be a bedding in. I really am. I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
And I do accept that. Yes, there'll always be, if you just simply look at financials, there'll be that expectancy, that desire. Folk will expect him to be amazing for day dot and just be blitzing folk. That's not going to happen. So I give him that allowance because he is fresh to the scene. He is in the door. With Adam Ida, just to revert back to that, the reason I'm not so giving that allowance is because he's essentially been here since January.
Yes.
So he's had his period. It's just poor performances. End of story. Get it sorted, big man. But no, I think McCown's a guy that I would use quite a lot. I think he offers something completely different. He's got the attacking threat of a Hatate, but with a wee bit more grit, a wee bit more determination. And he's also got leadership qualities that Hatate, Bernardo don't possess. You see him coming on, he's pointing, he's directed the traffic. He's almost like a pseudo Cal McGregor figure. He's been used to doing that as a captain at Dundee. He's been used to calling the shots, conveying the messages for the manager, and he's not scared to do that. I like that. I think that is what will make him potentially shine as a substitute above some of these other guys, despite the perceived increase in quality and, of course, maybe even transfer fees. But no, second half, Paddy, to touch it up, it's not the worst. It's an improvement. Obviously, we get that goal at the end of the first. Very fortuitous. Again, cliche, great time to score because they were on the ascendancy. Killie come out. They have a pretty decent, good start, to be honest. And, they're causing us troubles for the off. They forced the goalkeeper into numerous saves.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, in a strange world, Kasper Schmeichel was man of the match for me.
Yeah, it's quite strange, isn't it, when you go into a game like that, and like we spoke about at the start of the game, the 6 chances that Kasper saved and the 6 chances that have been blocked, they did come at us. I thought we defended okay, but I was sitting watching it, and I think if you go back and look at the chat as well, I've put in it and says, unless we change something here, unless we get the finger out, I can see Killie stealing a goal here. I can see them dragging one back here and getting us into a dogfight here. And I think if it went to a dogfight, if we didn't seal it, like you said, kill it off with a second goal, then I think it would have been totally different. I think we would have ended up in an actual dogfight there. And I think Killie would maybe have went on and done a bit better.
Paddy, I think it was about the hour mark. With that chance, we Kuhn, one end, we miss, and then almost within, 90 seconds, turnaround, they force us into a save.
Yeah,
it was far from home and dry. It was a very open game. It was very slack, and chances were created either side. But we've got to take these games as they come, and I just felt that even the substitutions, did it show things up a wee bit? No, I didn't feel like it. You could see a wee improvement, but it wasn't night and day. It wasn't like that. The other substitutions that we needed. Yeah,
it's not the impact that we had previously when we brought on Nicholas Kuhn. And we've seen him turn the game on its head, essentially. But what did happen is Alistair Johnson, I don't know whether it was Bernardo being in there and giving him a bit more support, slightly more support than what Engels was giving him. I think Bernardo was dropping a little bit deeper, and that gave Johnson the opportunity to go forward a little bit more, and we started seeing that link-up play between him and Kuhn again, which we've been screaming for. I think the first half really lacked that. It lacked it on the left-hand side, like you said, with Greg Taylor and Dyson Maeda, and it lacked it on the right-hand side with Kuhn and Johnson. But I thought once they two started getting together a little bit more and started using the ball, you felt like something was going to come. And then obviously was it 63rd minute, I think I had.
Thereabouts,
71st minute. It does. It comes eventually. And you see the ball coming through for Alistair Johnson into towards Nicholas Kuhn. How many times have we seen it? That touch takes it inside, and we know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to get it in the left peg, and he's just going to bend it into that corner. He does. And for me, that was the nail in the Killie coffin. That was the one that put them out. They folded at that minute. I think the heads went down. They thought, we've done this, we've done that, blah, 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 blah. And I think McInnes' game plan to keep Kuhn out of the game until that minute worked.
Mm-hmm.
Because even then, it wasn't on his normal edge of the box when he cuts inside. It was a ball over the top. It's one for him to come inside himself. He comes in behind the defender, gets it under control instantly, and finishes as only he can. And I thought straight away that was the one that killed them off. I think that was the goal that basically put them to the sword.
I think, Paddy, that's one of the positives that we can take. See, even in these sticky performances, we saw Ross County and that and the likes as well. We have these days at the office where things are just a wee bit disjointed. They're not free-flowing.
Yeah.
Well, that's European hangover, bad pitch, a team defending deep, whatever it may well be. Inevitably, that combination of our superior fitness and, levels of training and ability, we can go longer, harder. You saw the Killie guys getting a wee bit tired. They'd played the game plan fantastically. And I think at 1-0, they're hoping we can sneak a sucker punch and it maybe deflates us. They had their chances, multiple chances, good chances, and it didn't come off for them. Much like, just using that, I just want to use it as an example. If you look at their game yesterday, similar to Hearts blew they had their chances. They had to take one of them. Once they were gone, they had nothing. And that was it. And that's what happened with us. It's the exact same happened to us in Killie. Killie had their chances. They couldn't convert them, whether it was hitting the post, whether it was just saves, whether it was not coming off of them. That was them. They'd maxed out the tired legs, and then ultimately that wee bit of quality. When the tired legs kick in and that wee extra bit of quality comes in, we take advantage. And you'll find that, but that's also reassuring that we can look at games this season and think, when the chips appear to be a wee bit down, when it looks a bit nip and tuck, when it looks as if it's in the balance, you'd bet on yourself, you'd gamble on yourself to have that. And that is one thing that I can take away from it that is reassuring. But sure as hell, we get through it. It isn't vintage. 2-0, we take the points. But there's a couple of other things that I want to bring in a touch here. The first one's, we also saw this graphics, and we talk about the impact of Kasper Schmeichel. Multiple saves. For me, man of the match, instrumental. That sums him up. He's on here on a 1-year contract. Supposedly there'll be a chat of a 1-year extension should we need it. How vital is he for us, mate? I mean, look at these statistics for goalkeeper for the season, and then you only need to look at what he done yesterday. Yeah,
it's madness. The passing accuracy is the one for me. I mean, that coming for your keeper, 336 passes this season so far, and over 90% accuracy as well. His distribution's incredible, and that for me has been a step up for Joe Hart. Straight away, he's better on the ball. Joe Hart was incredible for his absolute brilliant servant, great ambassador for the club as well. Did have his faults. I think Kasper is an upgrade on that. I think he's more of an all-round goalkeeper.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the way Brendan's wanting to play. So it's brilliant to have him in there. He's a great shot stopper as well. He showed that yesterday. There's a few kind of point-blank range ones as well. The one that's going down to his left-hand post when he just drops his cell down. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, for me, Kasper's been an incredible addition to the squad, and I'd love to see that year extension being added, because for me, he's not really done much wrong.
Yeah.
In that jersey. So going forward, for me, it'd be an absolute incredible addition. We did make another few changes as well, Steve. It was nice to see Tony Ralston getting on for AJ. So obviously AJ got a wee rest there. Tony Ralston come on and basically slotted in like he always does. He was in there. Jamesy Forrest come on for Kuhn as well. Again, you know what you're getting for Jamesy. He's going to run about. He's going to give you a little bit. Joe would have been buzzing. He didn't even put it in the chat. I don't know if he was watching it. So, yeah, listen, Joe would have been excellent that Jamesy got on as well. And they've done that little bit. But there's one thing that I want to touch on as well, and I don't know if you've got it down there. what your thoughts are on it. Was the tackle from Rio Hatate?
Yeah, I was wanting to finish up with the potential VAR, because for me there's 3 incidents in this game.
Yes.
Don't want to labour it. Well, I'm sure the VAR review will tell us later on. But the first one's the sort of hammer fist onto Ida.
Yes.
It all comes back to this: is it clear and obvious? He sees it and he gives a yellow card. So that straight up is the argument. It's not clear and obvious because he sees it and he gives it. For me, I think it's possible. I would argue I'd say it's a red card if I was really, really pushed. I think he knows what he's doing. I'm surprised he didn't ask to go and look at it, but we'll maybe find out maybe they did.
It'll come back to intent. I think it'll come back down to, was there intent there to actually cause the damage? And I think he's quite smart the way he does it. I think he's kind of coming in. He's not directly looking straight at Ida. I think it's the kind of the head's away, so it could go down as an accident essentially.
There's that one there, but then there's also a very similar incident, which is the one on Schmeichel.
Yes.
Now, I think that one's a red card. I actually think that is deliberate. I think he knows where he is, and you see him raising the elbow. And I actually think that it's the fact that he's quite short. If he's slightly taller, he catches him square in the jaw, and it's a right sore one. So I think that, for me, the Ida one, I understand he's jumping up and the hand comes down. I get that. You can write that one off as a yellow. I actually think the one on Schmeichel's worse. I think that is deliberate. I think there's intent there.
Yeah.
With the one with Hatate, with the one with Hatate, I think it's a red card. If I'm really, really pushed, I think if that happens against Celtic, I'm going off my nut. I keep on getting it. He tries to pull out. You do see him bringing the leg back a bit, but as it comes back to this, is he wildly out of control? For me, it's a desperate slide out of nowhere.
Yeah,
with a high leg.
For me, he's about 2 seconds off the pace. He comes in, his foot's high, and if he is pulling it back, if he connects with that, it's a red and probably a 6-game ban. It's one of them. It's a bad one. He comes in, he pulls it back, and I think his hands are up straight away. He's like, "Listen, I'm sorry," and he acknowledges it straight away, which they say he should never ever do. But let's be honest, if our Japanese players are anything, they're honest and they're what's the word I'm looking for here? They're always over to kind of help out as well. They're always there to make sure the players are okay. So straight away, Rio's hands are up. He's straight over the player. He's like, "Listen, sorry, it was an accident, blah, blah." And I think that gets him off with a red card. But I watched a wee bit of the interviews as well, and Derek McInnes was going off his nut about it. And he had the bit there, if it goes to the VAR, if it goes there and they show that as a freeze frame. Yes, listen, I could show you 25 challenges for last season when they show you a freeze frame and you say that's a definite red, but then when they show you it in full pace, it's not a red. Now, this is one of the ones that comes down to that perception, essentially, because the perception of the challenge, if you show a freeze frame, it's a red card straight away. Now, if you watch it in real time and he pulls his foot back, you can see that there is no intent to smash the player. There is no intent to go through him, essentially. Yes, you can question it. But for me, I think he was lucky to stay on the field. I really think he was.
And see, you come back to what McInnes says, and he moans about we don't get these decisions and stuff. I think he's focusing solely on Hatate one, and he's neglecting the other two that we've just mentioned, particularly the one on Kasper Schmeichel. Particularly, now I can understand that he's aggrieved. I get it. And as I say, we're sitting here as a Celtic podcast, sitting talking. For me, I think if Hatate's given a red card, no matter how green tinted you are, you probably don't argue with it, because I think you know that if that's against us, you're going off your head, and you'd be a liar if you said you weren't.
Yeah.
So I think he's very lucky. I do think he's very lucky. And again, we've got to forget this. Intent and stuff. Intent's not always the requirement. It's not a prerequisite. It's about if you're dangerous or out of control. And as I say, he is off the pace. It's a bit of a lunge, and it is high. He does try to pull out a bit, but it's irrelevant. You know, it's irrelevant. It's like throwing a hammer at somebody because you might hit them, and then once you see it leave your hand, going, "Oh no, I wish I hadn't done that," you know. That's what that's what it is. So, but nah, and as I say, San Francisco give no credence to any words that McInnes says. He wanted a moan. He wanted to have a moan. He wanted to complain about decisions going against him. I can understand he's probably frustrated. He's probably really, really disappointed because, as we say, at the start and throughout, because his team did play well. They had multiple chances. It didn't come off for him. So he's probably looking for something to throw in the way of just that's why that happened. Other than we just didn't take our chances. But it is what it is. I'm sure the oracle that is the VAR review will tell us that there probably could have been 2 red cards in that game and everything else in between. But end of the day, they got away with one. We got away with one. And we took our chances. They didn't. 2-0, top of the pile. Good response. Clean sheet. Time to reset.
Yeah, I like that. You said it before. Points make prizes. We keep getting the wins. We'll stay at the top of the pile, and that's all that matters. I think Aberdeen are still playing extremely well. They're doing great in there. So, listen, long may it continue. Long may they keep pressing us. I don't think they can keep it up much longer. I think they're going to start to get a few injuries now, and they've not really got the squad depth to cover that. But listen, fair play to them. Fair play to their manager. I think he's doing an incredible job across there. And across the city, yeah, the battle for 6th place is on.
Well, we'll take it, Paddy. Listen, thanks for coming out and joining us. And I do apologise, everybody, if I was a wee bit hoarse on your ears today. As I say, I'm feeling a wee bit under the weather. So after I come off of here, I will be returning directly back to my bed to feel sorry for myself. So, but Paddy, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody tuned in live. If you're watching retrospectively, again, thank you very much. Just make sure, subscribe to us, hit the notification, give it a wee like if you're into it. And of course, you can share it if you want to help us out. And also, again, just one last time, keep your eye out for our post on our socials regarding the local toy drive that we will be taking donations for, and we'll be helping contribute. If you want to help out some underprivileged kids in the local area for ourselves, then you can reach out and we will tell you what needs to be done. All right. So anyway, Paddy, cheers, mate. Until the next time, as always, everybody out there, take care of yourselves and hail, hail.
Hail, hail.